Yeah, we should have told him.
We could have confused him and then not learned as much. That would have been great. Kid writes that the house was so pink it remained a scorched shock on the back of her eyelids. What's the problem with her? Sounds like it's a kid. So I take her out. I place Lily's in there for clarity. I can do that as long as I tell the reader that I did it. How did I tell the reader? Brackets. Good writers who use quotations often know how to do this. If there's a pronoun in a quotation that could be confusing because you don't have the reference is Lily, take the pronoun out. Don't leave it in there. Take it out and include in brackets your own word. Feel free to do that if it's confusing. Clay.
Are we allowed to do, like, we take part of a quotation and we do dot, dot, dot?
Yes. Dot, dot, dot is called an ellipse. And you can take out sections. But the ellipse is honesty because it's you telling the reader there's something missing here. Okay? Yes, you can use the ellipse. Step 3 is the linkage. Step 3 is the most important part. You've introduced the quotation, you've given the quotation, and now you must tell me what's important about that quotation. And that means that I am linking it to the claim. The claim could be the claim of the paragraph or the claim of the essay. I link it to that thesis statement. Step 3 is where I include language that tells me what that quotation is showing analytically. And now I've told you, the reader, why you just read it. I know I'm going fast, but I'll go back in a moment. I want to show you an example. This is still the same quotation. By explaining how the image remains in Lily's mind even after she closes her eyes, Kidd is describing a character change in progress. The imagery of the house stays with Lily here because of its power and individuality. This image helps the reader understand that power and the change it causes. What do you think the claim of this essay is about? It's not about the house. The claim. No, it might not even be about the imagery. Yeah.
Lily changing?
Lily's character change. I know I spelled Lily wrong.
L-O-Y.
The imagery of the house is merely one paragraph of a developed essay about Lily and her change. And Brian looked at that and said, oh, looks like he's got discussion of change here. Notice there is no discussion of change here. There is no discussion of change here. That makes step 3 unique, not repetitive. In step 3, I don't simply want to repeat what I've done before. I can't do that. Otherwise, the reader is reading that and saying, I've already read this. And it becomes 5 sentences when it should be 3. So make sure you're telling me how that detail supports that claim. The imagery here shows that some event has made a lasting impression. It's showing something that will endure, something that will carry on, character change. Yes, but the 3 steps might be short, they might be long, it depends. You might, that's average. But Joey, that will be an entire paragraph. In an essay, didn't that look like an entire paragraph? Looks like an entire paragraph to me. What might I do? I might include another sentence or 2, but that's my paragraph. One quotation analysis could be an entire paragraph. Okay, some principles, some of which I've done before. I've already mentioned some, but I will repeat. When I give these sorts of principles, this sort of advice for how to do this properly, I'm doing this totally based upon past student mistakes. When I started teaching quotation analysis and integration, I didn't have this list. And then a student did this wrong, and a student did this wrong, and a student did this wrong. Not just one student, but many. So learn from their mistakes. Number one, try to make it flow smoothly into surrounding sentences. And as Joey was remarking, it's as simple as the he writes, she says. I showed you something a little bit more complex, a little bit more advanced, but it could be that easy. Do not include a quotation on its own without weaving it into your own sentences unless you absolutely have to. That makes the writing much smoother. Write the most in step 3. You can see that if you look at the paragraph that I've just shown you. The bulk of this is step 3 writing. Now, just to give you a heads up, Mr. Moffat, if you go to his class next year, will remind you of the same method, and he will claim that in step 3 you should have twice as many sentences as you have in step 2. So if you have a quotation that is 2 sentences long, you should have at least 3 sentences of integration, of analysis following. I understand where he's going with that. However, I don't like to lock students into that because that makes you number crunchers. I'm just telling you that the bulk of your discussion will be in step 3. It might be twice as much, it might not. I could see it being more than twice as much. I could see it being a little less than twice as much, but it will definitely be more. Don't over-summarize. Your introduction should introduce the quote. It shouldn't summarize the entire book. If you need to summarize, summarize separately, somewhere else. Don't do it as part of the introduction. Step 3 cannot just paraphrase. If I just gave imagery of a house being pink, step 3 should not say, in this quotation, kid is describing the house as being pink. Some of you, Brianna laughed. She's like, huh, yeah, I cry because I read it in student paper after student paper after student paper. Cry, see? Okay, got it. Sorry. Don't simply repeat what the quotation says. Link it to the new idea. You saw that I said the character change idea in step 3 of the paragraph I just gave you is a new idea. It wasn't in the intro and it wasn't in the quotation. It's my new link to my claim. Write the most in step 3 and make sure you're doing thinking work in step 3. Use this in social studies. Use it in journalism. If you're writing a social studies essay and you want to quote the Magna Carta, you want to quote the Monroe Doctrine, you want to quote Turner, right? The Turner thesis guy. You guys done that yet? No. In AP? No. You want to quote any great writer, speaker, or thinker in history, use the same method. In this guy says, blah, blah, blah. This shows that, blah, blah, blah. Same 3-part structure, always. I will pause and open for questions. Clay.
If I introduce a paper or something, and then I say, like, when speaking about history's validity, Plato said that
yes.
resembles history
Yes.
more than truth does.
Yes. Yes. I might even locate that in a particular dialogue. So I might say, when Plato talks about the history of validity, I might intro with a prepositional phrase in. Do you remember the dialogue where that would take place? In the Republic or something, I don't know. In the Republic, when Plato questions blah, blah, blah. That's the only thing I would add to that. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, good.